Hello, welcome back everybody to another episode of Voice in the Void. Today, I actually have a special guest with me, Miss Victoria. I know we just met, quite literally. I don't think we've talked except for the one voice note you sent me, but and a couple texts. But I want you to kind of share with us whatever it is that you want to share with, and then we can jump into the rest.
Well, my name is Victoria, and I am from very warm Arizona. It's 114, middle of our monsoon season, and been here for about 28 years, and just spending each day sharing my story slash testimony and just hoping to inspire others to really focus on a positive mindset because things can always be worse.
Yes, ma'am. It definitely could always be uh, a lot worse. So first, you did share that you were an author. So do you want to talk about the books that you have written or been a part of?
Well, what started it all is a very nice gentleman named Hector DeVille. I always pronounce his last name wrong. Um, he had a project out there and he wanted about 10 authors to go in and pick a chapter and
Okay.
write on it. So we sent the list out and I thought, well, I can do that. So that was my very first effort at writing. And so I chose the chapter Financial Freedom. And I wrote about I had been so blessed to have been introduced to, and how not only do they help with the overall well-being, but that you could also do it as a business and earn a very nice income from it. It's solely whatever you choose. So
Yeah.
after I wrote that chapter, I thought, wow, I did this in about an hour. I thought,
Hmm.
well, my book. So I sat down and I just started talking into my phone and it came about and then I edited it and then I edited it again. I
Hmm.
think I've gone through three different edits, but I'm finally happy with where it's at. Now I'm just trying to get it published. But after that, I was offered another opportunity to do another collaborative project. And this one is called Scars to Stars. And this is about personal stories of the overall mental well being. My chapter in that is called Rebuilt. And it's a little bit about my story and changing my mindset to focus on the positive. And I just knew at that point that it, that was going to be my way of life because negativity, there's just no room for it. So I just
Right.
m- mentally, it became an easy practice for me to do.
Well, that's cool because a- at least you found something that you could do, and apparently you're good at it if you keep doing it. And it took you, you said it, around an hour to write a chapter of the other book, right? It's the other one that was just up with this.
And this one came together over
Oh,
weeks at a time. It was a step by step process. And I wrote my story and it went through the editing for them and it just was a different angle, a different view of what happened, but it's a pretty powerful book and it can be,
okay.
any benefit from it, just like the first one, Still We Rise, because there's all different chapters in there about family, dating, parenting, relationships, daily life obstacles.
Sorry, it's being a little slow. A little bit. But you said, like, in this book, The Still We Rise, there's how much into it?
There's 10 chapters, I believe, in there, and so 10 different authors. And some of them were first-time authors like myself.
Okay.
And this one, it covers and that was my first effort at writing. And that was done in 2025.
In 2025. That's not too bad. If you're able to, apparently you found what could be said as your calling for it.
And if somebody would have told me that that's what I would have been doing, I would have said, I don't think so. But, because I never really, back probably 26 years ago, a prophetic word was spoken over me, and they said that I needed to write a book.
Yeah.
And it would be used to not only inspire others in this, situations like mine, but those that are paralyzed by fear, by addictions, by phobias that keep them bedridden or, in their home, not wanting to leave.
Yeah.
And here we are 26 years later, and it's finally happening.
Well, congratulations, and at least you found that calling, you found what you're good at. That has to be for like your daughter or your kids inspirational. Would you say that?
Yeah, they're not quite sure exactly what to think of it yet. It's like my mom is a published author, and at first it was kind of weird for me to look at myself that way, but I am. So it's kind of,
Well, I bet it is. That it's something to very much so be proud of. A lot of people they think about doing it and they never do it. And you thought about it, you did it, and just like that, you have 2 shared published books, but it's published and your name's on it. That has to be very very kind of
rewarding.
give you the joy that you've probably looked for a little while, right? Being able to find what you are good at.
Very much so, because, it just, again, if somebody would have told me that that's what I would have been doing, I would have said, no way. But, it just, it's one of those things that, it came about at the right time.
Right. That's fair. I understand. I get that. Like first, like the recording stuff, like what I've been doing with the podcast. I talked about doing this for about 11 years now, and I've been doing it for about 8 months now, almost 9 months.
Oh, wow.
And thinking on it, if I would have started it way back when, I could potentially be in a different position with the podcasting, but I might not be as happy about it as I am now. Once upon a time, I wasn't in a good place to be able to do stuff like this, to talk to people. I didn't have the care that I do now. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy conversations with random people. I enjoy becoming basically acquaintances and potential friendships over this. I get to have meaningful conversations, and I love it like this. It took you, how long did it take you to actually get that writing slot?
Well, that was last year. So, my son was 2 and he's 30 now. So 28 years.
28 years. That is insane. That's a long time, but you still did it.
That's why I tell people it's never too late to purpose and reach your destiny. I mean, I was 57 years old when I started being a guest speaker on numerous podcasts. I thought, who's going to want to hear it? And I'm old, I'm 57, but it doesn't matter the age. What matters is getting it done.
Right.
Just doing it.
Just
like
doing
that.
it.
Yeah.
Just doing it. So this says, I know it's a kind of a push away from the author side of it. I took a couple little notes. So said at 19, you were told that below your injury, you weren't gonna have feelings. What
Right.
do you have feeling now?
I do. So when the accident happened, I was going into a 23 mile or a 25-mile-an-hour corner,
Mm,
and I downshift, and it wouldn't take second gear. So I tried again with no luck. I tried third, and it was like stuck in neutral. So I ended up hitting gravel on the side of the road. Then I hit a tree, and the whiplash motion broke my neck. The third vertebrae slid over the fourth, taking the spinal cord with it. So
mm,
the higher you your spinal cord, the more damage that's done to the body. So the spinal cord wasn't completely severed, but it was
mhm.
damaged.
Oof.
So classification is C3, C4, incomplete quadriplegic. But I'm actually a tetraplegic because I can move my arms, move my hands. I just don't have use of my fingers. So when doctors told my family that I would be nothing more than a head attached to a body, not able to move or feel below the level of injury, well, they were wrong. And I
Mhm.
have feeling sensation down to my toes. And, I was able to give birth naturally to my two children. So
Oh,
doctors don't
congratulations.
thank you. They are my miracle babies for sure.
So you said you had trouble shifting a car. Or was it a car or motorcycle?
It was a 81 Citation X11.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
No, you're too young. It was, General Motors made the car.
Yeah.
It was a family car, otherwise known as the Citation. Most adults remember that. The X11 was the sporty edition of the car. So,
Okay.
it had a sunroof, the nice interior, nice wheels and tires. It was just kind of just a little sportier looking. Well, they had problems with the metal that they used in the second gear shifter fork. So when I had the accident and they inspected it, there were three previous owners to the car before
Mhm.
me. So they had traded it in because of the same problem. But fortunately for them, they didn't have an accident. They just had problems shifting like I did. So, they said that the metal shavings that were in the transmission fluid,
Mhm.
looked like it had been there from day one. So, looked like it
Okay.
had been in there since 80 was 87.
That's not good at all. That's crazy. I looked it up just
Yeah.
to so I can have a visual. And in a sense, it almost looks like a Datsun, I wanna say it was, kind of.
Sport a little bigger than a Datsun. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the body shape, in a sense, it looks like a Datsun. Definitely bigger, but it look
Yeah.
almost like a
Rolla
mini station
way.
wagon. But,
Well, it
oh,
was a
that
hatchback. It was roomy. I mean, you could sit probably 3 people in the back seat, and then it
okay.
had the hatch.
Alright. And so the accident happened, it caused the damage to your vertebrae, it caused damage to the spinal. How long did it take for you to actually regain feeling?
Well, it takes 6 weeks to come out of spinal shock,
Okay.
and so before I really started to feel,
Mhm.
I was in the hospital. I hadn't been to rehab yet, and they were giving me a bath, and I felt something behind my ankle. And I asked them, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Why?" I said, "'Cause I can feel you." And they looked at each other and they said, "Where are we?" And I said, "You're behind my ankle." And they just looked at each other and they were like, oh, they were so excited. because I wasn't expected to feel anything.
Yeah.
So they told the doctor, and the doctor was excited, and he says, "Well, let's watch her for a few weeks and see what happens." Well, then my boyfriend back then, Richard, got this great idea of when he would hold my hand and he would let go of my hand, he would say, "You're gonna have to hold it or it's gonna drop." And I looked at him and I thought right away, what a jerk. Why are you gonna let my hand drop like that? That's mean. And he said, "Well, that's kind of rotten of you." So he held my hand and then he's like, "All right, are you ready?" And I said, "Okay." And he let go. And for a split second, I could hold it and then it dropped. So we were excited because you could see it for that split second. And that was
Yeah.
all doctors needed to know because they knew that, there was things happening. So the month that I was in Rogue Valley Memorial Hospital, we just kept working with that. Then November 2nd to no, November 9th to February 2nd, I was in Portland at Good Samaritan Hospital at a rehab unit called Rehab Institute of Oregon, and it was
Okay.
on the top floor of Good Samaritan Hospital. And I was the only girl. The rest of them were all males. So I had nobody to talk to except for the nurses. And they were kind of my source of knowledge, my reprieve. Uh, the boys were one track mind. So they wanted to know how to work out, how to have sex, and how to smoke. I was like, yeah, no, that's not my priority. I fought with the nurses, but I was there for those 3 months and I knew I had to make the best of it. And I had to decide, was I going to be a victim to my situation or victorious? And I
Mhm.
was given the name Victoria for a reason. So I chose to be victorious. And mind you, it wasn't easy. I mean, I was
Yeah.
19. I had the world in front of me and I slowly was shown something totally different.
Yeah.
And it was a daily work in progress. But I focused on learning how to write. I had a writing utensil that
Mhm.
would go on my hand, and I couldn't even write with a ballpoint pen. That was how weak I was. I had to use like kind of a felt tip, a black marker, really. And I had to learn how to feed myself again. And I was so weak, I couldn't even move a sheet off of me. I couldn't raise my arms laying down. It felt like I had the weight of the world on me, honestly. And I almost would be like claustrophobic because I couldn't move it. And slowly with working out, I worked out every day. They had a pulley system, and I would use like wrist hooks to
Mhm.
attach to it and work out that way. But it made me feel good because I remembered what it felt like to work out before the accident.
Yeah.
And so it, it gave me a sense of purpose, I guess. And my goal was to be able to write legibly. And I did. I wrote a letter to my boyfriend, and it looked pretty darn good, if I say so myself. I mean, you could read it. It kind of looked like my writing before, but boy, it was hard. I had to
Yeah.
use a wrist brace to put the writing utensil over
Mm.
for probably the first month and a half. I wouldn't even look in the mirror. I didn't want to see me because I
Mhm.
wasn't the same pick. But they
Yeah.
had literally shaped from ear to ear, and they left a thin strip of hair for the where they were stapled me up, and that
Mhm.
was all I had. So I did not want to see that.
That's fair. That could be scary, especially for a 19-year-old that was still trying to understand why it happened. So I can, like, I don't. get the feeling, but I can understand it in a sense. Unfortunately, things happen for a reason, and maybe it was to help you find the purpose. It might have taken a long time to find the writing side of it, but I'm sure you've done and accomplished a lot more along the way. I mean, you were able to have kids even after the
Yeah.
injury. And long after that, did, you became an author. What'd you do in between? What was your hobby, your
I,
interest?
I was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I had won the lawsuit, and so uh, that old saying, "He buys you happiness." No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It was a headache. It was an absolute headache to me because I was 20. How old was I? 24, I think, when I won the lawsuit, and
Okay.
I didn't want that responsibility. So I hired financial managers, and even at that, they kept, every month it was, "Hey, we need to sell this, buy this, we're running it by you." And I'm like, "I don't want to know. Just take care of it." But it that was their job, to let me know and
Mhm.
keep me informed. And for about 25 years, it was like that. Then my second marriage, when I had kids, the money ended up running out, and that was the demise of our marriage. And so when he walked out, the kids were 10 and 12. And I was now a single parent raising two pretty much teenagers from a chair. And I had to figure it out. I
Yeah.
I didn't have the I had to get a job. It took 3 years to get a job from that I could do remote. I I threw myself into my kids just like I did before, but I was the sole parent. I taught their achievement from kindergarten to 6th grade. I was tutoring math, of all things, and I was very
And
active and
math.
involved while they were in elementary school. Once they hit junior high, they didn't want mom around. They were like, "Stay home." But
Fair.
I'd hang out in the office. I'd get to the school like an hour or so early and talk to the ladies in the office, the counselors. So I was just busy being a stay-at-home mom that was never home.
Mhm. Okay. I mean, a stay-at-home mom, it's still a hard job. I don't wanna compare it to a job, but it is, in the end, it's a job. Being a stay-at-home parent is hard,
It is
and
hard.
let alone you did it in a chair with teenagers, and I know how I was as a teenager, so I can only imagine that they gave you a run, like, they ran you through the ringer for the most part.
They ganged up on me. I'm like, "Hey, I'm the only mom you're gonna have. Go easy on me." Oh, they were vicious, but, you know, they were going through a lot with their
Mhm.
dad leaving. I understood that, and um it didn't matter how they acted. I told them I would never change how I felt about them, and I
Yeah.
would always love them no matter what. I may not like what they do or say, but it would never stop me from loving them. I may have been an overprotective parent, but at least I was there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you were there, just before this. You got to see your daughter helping you out so that at least you have the constant help when you need. And I'm
Oh,
sure it's
it
not
didn't.
all the time.
Yeah, it's so willingly. It was like, "Oh, mom, I just sat down," or, "Oh my gosh, do I have to do," or "again," or, "I just picked that up," and I'm like, "Yeah, and you can pick it." And imagine that. But I just sat down. I said, "Yes, you can stand up and sit back down." Boy, what an ability. I'm like, "Now stop complaining and help me." So they were always so gracious. My daughter's visiting with my grandkids
Okay.
from Oregon, so that's here.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, she's there. It's still I'm sure it's nice. It's fun. You got your grandkids, you got your daughter. Well, it
My
sounds
proudest
like,
moment
go ahead.
is a picture I have with my granddaughter Billy on my lap, and Sarah's holding Ren and Kai. There's 3 generations right there. And I was like, every year we need to do this. That I just it's one of my favorite photos. And that was my grandson opening the door. He's autistic. So he's trying to understand why grandma's behind the door. Um, but it, it's a legacy that I'm leaving behind, not just from my daughter, but my grandkids and
Yeah.
generations to come.
hmm No, 100%. That's it's cool. I want to be able to do something like that, the generational thing, the photos with my dad, my mom, uh, my kids. I have 3, and potentially theirs, but hopefully I have quite a while before I have any grandkids. Um, I'm only 31. My daughter's 14, so hopefully I have some time in between.
Well,
I'm
my
not looking forward to that.
15. So kind of the looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
So my oldest grandson is 10. I was a grandma in my late 40s. Do you think I was very happy about that? No, but I love my grandkids, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I made my mom a grandma before before she was old enough. I was 17 when I had my daughter. But I've been there every day that her um bio mom allowed me to. Even when she was leaving her with me for months at a time and stuff like that, I was always there. But it was at the moment, like, I don't know if you had this, right? But when you had is your daughter the oldest, or is
No,
she,
my
no?
son Daniel's
Okay, so
30.
when you had your son, was it like you could feel the change in life around you, like the energy in the room with you?
Um, yeah, Daniel, I didn't know if I could have kids.
Mhm.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of room sitting in a chair for a baby
Yeah,
to grow. So when I got pregnant, it wasn't like, how did that happen? It was like, now what? What am I going
right.
to do now? This going to progress. So Daniel, I tried to do everything right with him because I
Yeah.
didn't know if I was going to be able to have another one. And 2.5 years later, when she's fine. Oh, that scratch, it's okay. Just do this or pictures. Nah, it's okay. I'll get the next one or something. It
Mhm.
wasn't. I feel bad because I don't have as many in certain stages for her that I do for my son. So she's always telling me that she's adopted. She's like, I don't think you don't have the proof. There's no pictures of me in your tummy. But with moving from Maui to Arizona and different houses in Arizona, I kind of lost some photos. And so I don't have as many as I used to, but I have the memories.
Yeah, sometimes memory is best, but photos, they help keep the memory in place.
Say
But
that again.
so I look at it, memories are good to have, but photos help keep the memory in place. You can never forget the time, the location, the weather, how young they were in the image.
Okay.
It's always a nice thing to have at least one. And trust me, I'm
Right.
terrible with the whole picture thing with all of my kids. I do my best for it. It's just one of the things where even when I grew up, it's not like school pictures weren't important. So,
Hmm.
um, I kind of brought that with. We've been trying to get back into school pictures is where you should be like We're trying to get back into doing family photos again at least once every few months or something like that if we can. But yeah, it always helps to have a picture to remember the time. Because
Oh, I made
unfortunately,
sure those
go ahead. No, you're good. No problem.
made the photos for both my kids every year. They had them even when they had the second chance of doing it again in the
Yeah.
spring, they were doing it in the spring because they looked different from the beginning of the year to
Yeah.
the 6 months later. My kids are like, Mom, I said, just go take the picture.
Right. Just
But,
go do it.
you know, yeah, humor mom, grandparents love it. So just
Hmm.
go smile.
Right.
But my kids have so they weren't real hip on smiling because we made sure that they had braces and straight teeth. They were under our roof.
Yeah. That's something I could never afford. I was supposed to have braces when I was a kid, but my family couldn't afford them. So we just kind of dealt with it the way it was. And I also, when I was younger, I didn't like my smile, so I wouldn't smile because when I was a kid, I had buck teeth, so I didn't like to show the buck teeth, and so I always had basically a mean mug. I was looking at you in some type of way. You want me to smile, you're on the list that I don't want to look at anymore. But especially for picture day, I hated it. But yeah, I've been trying to tell the kids that it's important to have some type of picture as like a memory because first, my memory is not the greatest. So
Oh.
when I think about it, I could be thinking about something that I believe happened around that time frame, and it'd be close, but it's not exactly how I remember it myself. And that's why I say sometimes the pictures help. Like there's times I go
Yes.
back and forth when my wife was pregnant with mine and her birth, my middle child. Um, I go back, I look at her old pregnancy pictures because one of the pictures when she was towards the end, she looked like she had twins growing in her stomach. Her belly bump was
Wow.
huge. It looked like she had a beach ball on her shirt. So um, there's times I go back to that. I I remember she was wearing one of her orange tops, but it's like the time and place. I enjoy the memory that I can never forget, which just so happens to be in pictures.
Hmm.
And I'm
Yeah,
sure you're the
I
same way
agree.
with your grandkids, especially your grandkids.
Yes. I'm always telling my daughter, would you send pictures? And then I'll hear her say, oh, she'll be on the phone and I'll send you a video. And I'm like, hey, where's my video? So don't forget
Yeah,
about grandma.
right. That's where you gotta get your grandkids to tell her, hey, don't forget, no matter what it is.
Don't forget
Is that what they call you?
tutu. That's grandma in
Tutu?
Hawaiian.
Choo choo?
Yeah,
Okay.
tutu. T.
Oh, tutu. Sorry, tutu. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Because my
cool.
kids, we lived in Maui for 7 years, and their dad has Hawaiian blood, and so they're part Spanish and Hawaiian. So
Okay.
they've got they've got quite the mix.
Hey, that's a good mix at least. It's not a bad
Yeah.
mix. For one, Hawaiian blood is like ancestral, so to speak. Is how I look at it.
Well, when we were there, Daniel was 2 and Sarah was 6 months. She was
Okay.
born we moved here because I didn't want them growing up sounding illiterate. Because I don't know if you've ever been to Hawaii, but the way they talk, it's like, oh no, they're just not, no, we go beach, we grind, are you pal? It's like, what do you what are you saying? I mean, I know what the words are. Pow is done and ow is, shower bathed, moi moi is sleep and pow is done. It just grind is eat. But they would use a word like, well, now I just drew a blank on the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. But, it was like, can you guys just speak English? And it just didn't. So I told my husband back then, I said, yeah, let's just move somewhere that the weather is comparable. But we never knew about monsoon season in Arizona because monsoon season here is hurricane season in Hawaii.
And huh, I would never have thought that. But I mean, I guess in the same sense, it's all kind of coming from the same area, right? Kind of.
And a hurricane protected between the Big Island and Oahu. So sometimes we would just get the tip of it. We wouldn't get the blunt of it. And I went through two of them. One when we got there, and one a couple of years later. So
Hmm.
it was interesting.
Well, I would say that's definitely interesting. Just yeah. Oh yeah, I bet that is gorgeous. One, you have nothing but water, but also I learned I have a fear of open water at night.
Yeah.
So, and I look at it that way because first off, at night, and I'm sure you guys live at least close to the water, you can look off into basically into the ocean. But doing that at night, it's like a black hole. Like you see some stars sometimes, and the water is so dark and just kind of it's a mysterious spot. Is how I look at it because it's not necessarily a fear like I won't go do it, but it's like a fear as in I know to be very cautious around the open water. So it's kind of like the Great Lakes back in Michigan where I'm from. Lake Michigan, the water is very unpredictable. It takes more lives than the ocean does. Well, I think more lives in the Pacific, I should say. But
they tell you not to go in the water once the sun starts to set, because that's feeding time for the shark.
Oh,
And when do the tourists win? And when the sun is setting, it's like, did you not hear the warning? And the rule of thumb is never go in the water if you don't see a local there, because they know where all the sharks. But
yeah, see that kind of fits that. Be very cautious of open water, especially at night. Like daytime, for the most part, in like the oceans and certain parts of the ocean, the waterway, you can see at least a little distance in. But my thing is once you get so far and you can't see anything or you see shadows underneath you, that's where I don't like it.
I don't
'Cause
like
it's
not being
terrifying.
able to see the. Yes,
That too.
yes. But when you're on the boat and you're whale watching and you see the dolphins, or you're on a dinner cruise, it's beautiful, and you don't think about that in the moment until it starts to get dark.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. This guy that I watch occasionally on TikTok, he's on a cruise right now. And he's like, I don't leave my room at night. He's like, I left one time and I don't like it, so I stay in my room at night. I just found that to be comical.
We all have.
Yeah, yeah. So we know about the injury. We know about your co-authors. So the stroke. When did the stroke happen? You said you're a stroke survivor, right?
On April 19th, and that was 8 years ago, this past April, and it was a brain bleed at the base of my brainstem. And it was, something where the doctor was telling my fiance back then, wouldn't hold your breath. People may or may not come out of this, and to what extent is yet to be determined. And I mean, I had a feeding tube. I was in the hospital for 4 days, and I was not only paralyzed from the spinal cord injury, but I could barely move my arm, and I couldn't feel my bottom on the right side. I always felt like I was going to fall over if I didn't hang on for dear life. And I told the doctor, I said, and it felt like forever to get the words out. And I said, I understand I've got the spinal cord injury, but this stroke business, it has to go. And he said he knew then I was going to be okay. And I went home, and
very
4 months,
resilient.
4 months later, by the grace of God, I was fully recovered. The speech impediment and the facial droop were completely gone.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you made it through it. I'm glad we're able to sit here
Yeah,
and
me,
have this conversation. And you get to be
me
there
too.
for your grandkids, your daughter, your son.
I don't, that would have been very difficult for me to have handled, living life, speaking the way that I was. And honestly, I think I'm too vain. I couldn't have lived with that facial droop and sounding the way that I did. It just, no, that wasn't going to happen. I'm glad that strong will, faith, resilience, and just a lot of hard work, and it left.
Oh, I mean, you made it. You fought that away, so you're able to be here a little bit longer at least. Not yet. Not yet. Um, so do you have anything? I know you mentioned one, but are you able to talk about the book that you have or not yet?
I'm
Is
sorry, say again?
the unpublished? Are you able to speak on the one book right now or not yet? One of them that you told me is unpublished.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's the title is Whiplash But Not Broken, a story of faith and resilience of a woman who refused to quit. And every time I was told you're not going to be able to do that, I was like, oh yeah. If I couldn't do it the way I wanted to, I found a different way to get it done, or I found something different to do. And the book is basically from the time right before the accident to the accident, and talking about rehab and Richard, my boyfriend back then. We were together for 4 months when I had the accident, and we were together 3 years afterwards. And there's a chapter all about him, because honestly, if it wasn't for Richard, I don't know if I would have fought as hard,
Yeah.
because he told me, minute you give up, I leave. I was like, okay, you know, I'm not going to give up. And I was in rehab 3 months, and then I worked with Voc Rehab for 2 years to get back in the computer and, being proficient with moving my arm, typing with the typing utensil. So I'm typing one finger on one hand and then using the other hand for the mouse. And, 2 years later, I got a job at the judicial department for the state of Oregon, and I was there for 4 years. Then I met and married my first ex, and about 6 months after we got married, we moved to Maui, and I bought the house. And so the book talks about things like that, and basically the reconnecting with Richard after I was in rehab, because in December the hospital staff gave us a gift certificate for a night at a hotel. So we kind of had to learn each other all over again. And your body's kind of remember what to do and remember the feelings, and you just kind of have to figure things out.
Yeah.
And he was very open-minded, and he learned how to do my care. And we lived together right after I came home from rehab, and
Yeah.
I worked, he worked, and that's just how life was. So it talks about the patches that I was introduced to that I'm so grateful to, because I had chronic sciatica pain for 20 years. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever had any dealings with sciatica, but when you're sitting in a chair and you have sciatica pain, there is no reprieve from that at all.
No.
And because whether I was laying down or sitting up, it was always there. And
Yeah.
the sprays, the creams, they were temporary. So the patches, 2 months after I wore them, one morning I woke up and I was absolutely pain-free. And I've been pain-free and
Okay.
mental clarity. I have energy that's all natural, no jitters.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'm literally aging in reverse. And there's just so many healthy benefits to the patches, and there's no side effects to them. And it works with the light that's inside the cells of your body to get your body to do what it was originally created to do.
Yeah.
And so it talks a little bit about those and what's in store for the future. So it's all wrapped up in one book. And will there be a sequel or another one afterward? Most likely, because a couple of different ideas have come to
Okay.
mind. So once I get it published, um, then it's on to the next.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think I might go check them out. Then I can always talk to my wife about it too, because she's always reading day in day out. So maybe I can pass it on to her as well. See if it's her style of books. I don't even ask that question anymore for her. Because she reads every type of book for the most part that I know. And to your the injuries. So how you talked about your spine. So my disc in my back, I had actually messed up a long time ago. My third and fourth. The third is going up to the fourth, and which has got a chip in it now, and the fourth is up cockeyed into the fifth and pushing the fifth to the side. So my disc are a little off alignment, as you would say. Um and or was at least. I went through a lot of different uh realignment procedures that they did without surgery, as they said it. Uh, and so I know if my back was hurting that bad, I couldn't imagine how bad your back might have been feeling through your crazy adventure. Yeah, I know I could barely drive a truck, which that's what I did when I found out about my back. I was driving, I hit a bump, my back was hurt, and I laid down on the ottoman. I couldn't stand back up. I was hunched over and I was down for the count. Um, so I know if it was that bad for me in that aspect, and yours was way worse than what mine is, I can imagine the pain that you might have been feeling through yours. I don't want to say I know exactly, but it's obviously a big difference. But yeah,
Pain, it's horrible. And when you deal with chronic, there is nothing worse. It's,
no,
it just, and when there's no relief from it, and that's why I'm so passionate about the patches, because there is an alternative out there that
yeah,
interfere with anything. and you just put the patch on certain, areas of your body, and because it kind of goes off of the like reflexology type thing. Or you put it where your source of pain is. You wear it
Yeah.
for 12 hours and take it off and put it on again the next day and go put it again. Stay hydrated with your electrolytes and let the patches do their job, because the X39 is systemic. It goes throughout the entire body.
Yeah.
So like, stem cell injection that just go where they're being injected, these go throughout the entire body. So it kind of starts with what needs the most work. But
Yeah.
it's they're pretty powerful, and 208 patents and thousands of testimonials as to what they've done for PTSD, anxiety, stress, different aches and ailments. So it's pretty amazing.
Well, happy you found a way to help you with the pain and help you get through your everyday with it. I am gonna go ahead and say bye to everybody. I appreciate you joining me for the conversation. I did enjoy it a lot, and I'm very interested in your story, and hopefully can have another connection here in a bit, maybe after the next book, your book actually comes out, and we can see what changes might have came through by that time. But yeah, I appreciate you joining me today.
I appreciate.
Everybody, go check out her books. I know she's a co-author in those the two books. If you don't mind, I guess I didn't write those ones down. But what was the names of them one more time for us? Scars to Stars and Still We Rise. You can find them on Amazon. Yeah. Hopefully we can get that get a hold of your next book once it comes out too.
I will.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it. And bye everybody.